everyone, welcome back to another consignment update. We're on episode 2 of the June 2025 auction. So we've had more stock than ever consigned this early before an auction. We're probably up to 400 guitars already. The racks are full. We're already into the overflow racks, and we have about 3 collections of 100 guitars each coming in next week as well. So do look out for future consignment updates, which are going to come thick and fast, I think. I had a phone call just yesterday with a chap who has 50 guitars. He's also got 350 effects pedals that are all going to be coming into this sale. We haven't decided quite what we're going to do, whether we're going to split them over sales, but we may even have one dedicated pedal auction or a whole day dedicated to pedals. So yeah, that could be quite exciting. Today we have another very mixed selection of stuff, some players grade vintage. We've got some decent modern guitars, some quirky vintage guitars, some sort of lower value guitars as well. So a good mixed bag today. I think next week we will most likely be looking at a phenomenal single owner collection of around 40 guitars, which is quite mind-blowing. So do have a look at that video. We'll just do one video for that collection. Some incredible pieces, which we're sort of really pleased to have in. But as always, please do subscribe to our channel. Hit the like button, hit the bell icon to be notified by future videos. Let us know in the comments what you like, what you don't like, any corrections you have for us, because I do sometimes slip up and say the wrong thing or make a mistake with something. And of course, keep an eye on the website www.guitarauctions.com, because in the next week or so we should start uploading some previews onto that website. We are trying to race through things ready for this auction, but the consignment deadline is 24th of April, so if you do have anything to sell, please let us know. But yeah, let's have a look at what we've got. In last week's episode we showed a collection, or 2 collections of guitars. The latter section, or the latter half, contained a lot of Gibson guitars, and I completely forgot that we had some other guitars from that collection I didn't show you. Just because they were in a different area of the building. But here is one of them. It's a Peter Frampton, as you can see on the cloth there. Signature Les Paul Custom. So it's a custom shop limited edition Les Paul Custom 3 pickup. The complete spec of Peter Frampton's iconic Les Paul Custom guitar. There you go. You've got the PF Peter Frampton prefix on the serial number. Gibson custom shop in ebony finish, like all the other guitars from the collection that you saw last week. Please do go back and look at that. That is June 2024 auction episode 1. Yeah, just great condition. We currently don't have the papers. It's from a deceased estate, and the family are sure the papers are there somewhere, so they are frantically searching for them. But it is the real deal. Gibson custom shop, Peter Frampton, Les Paul Custom. In the previous clip I said June 24. Of course it's not 2024, it's 2025. Still living in the past. On to the future. This is another nice guitar from the same collection. Gibson Hummingbird Custom. You can see it's got further customizations by having the Fishman Ellipse Blend pickup system added, and that has been wired through to the end. But yeah, this one's from 1977. So we've got mahogany back and sides in this cherry finish, this natural spruce top, the typical Hummingbird pick guard. There's a little Hummingbird there, and yeah, rosewood board, mahogany neck. Classic 70s type head with the 70s logo there. But this is a fantastic instrument, again in really clean condition. The top is nice and flat and no lifting at all, which can sometimes be a slight issue with some old acoustics. The tops can start lifting, but it is not in tune. Yeah, that's a shame. But it is, yeah, fantastic example. Good player, great action, ready to go. with that additional extra of a decent pickup system included. And it does come with its what appears to be its original case as well. And I believe this is the final guitar from this collection that we're showing you. Obviously go back and have a look at the other ones. But this is a Epiphone Sheraton, Japanese, from 1984. So one of the very early Sheratons before production moved out to the Korean factories. But again, in fantastic condition. In fact, I think condition-wise, it's probably the best I've ever encountered. And you can even see the plastic film still on the pickups, amazingly. But that is the case with a lot of the guitars from this collection. Comes with its original case. Go and find a better one. So from a different seller, but still keeping with the Gibson theme, I really like these P90 loaded Les Paul Classics. This one's from 2018, I believe. Yeah, there we go, there's a serial number, and comes in this fantastic striking blue finish. A lot of people won't like the way these check, but I really like this sort of lacquer checking, instant aging, and I'm sure over time it will get even worse. Probably not the correct term, because to me that's better.
Get worse but better.
Get worse but better. But yeah, fantastic instrument in great condition, aside from the minor checking, which is always going to happen. Well, I guess depending on the conditions it's kept in. But there we go. Comes with its original case and all its papers. And in here we have a Hofner President, and these don't always get an awful lot of time on the channel. It's going to be no secret that I'm not the biggest fan of Hofner guitars, although this one does get a special mention because it's a great player, really nice action. It's probably out of tune, but
My fault for once.
I did think it was very, very playable. Being sold on behalf of a lovely couple, and the gentleman that owned this guitar has pretty much had it from new, and I believe it's from 65 from memory. It's a 1965 Hofner President, and yeah, it's been well looked after, good condition, all looks original, and comes with a fitted case as well from the period. So this guitar is in a bit of a state, as you'll soon see. So this is, well, somewhere underneath there's a 1960 Fender Duo-Sonic. As you can see, someone has lovingly put their take on a Fender logo on the headstock. But as you can see, it's a refinished body. There's something odd going on here. It's almost like the end of the body's been off at some point. You can see this line running round, this perfect line. Very strange indeed. But anyway, refinished body. Underneath, there's a lot of chiseling out on the cavities. It's obviously had a different guard and electrics at some point. This guard does not appear original, although the tin shield underneath does appear to be the original one. So yeah, it's been through the mill. The pickups aren't original, so none of the electrics are original. You can see the strap buttons are later replacements. The bridge looks okay. The tuners are certainly okay, and the neck has been refinished, as we can see. It's got its correct 1960 serial plate, which is the only part left that we've got to date it. There is no date stamp on the end of the neck, which isn't unusual for a 59 sort of 60, until they started restamping them, renumbering them again. But yeah, it's obviously had a life. Interesting thing, certainly a project for someone, but 1960 Fender Duo-Sonic. And just because I showed you that last one, I'm going to show a guitar in similar condition. Some of you who have been following us for quite a while may recognise this guitar. We sold this to the seller, I think, around 6 or 7 years ago. But like the Duo-Sonic, this guitar has been through the mill, and somewhere underneath here is a 1963 Fender Telecaster. I think the biggest mod with this guitar that you will note is it has a maple board, which is not original. So the rosewood board has been removed, and the this maple cap has been placed on with someone's initials, DP. Who that person was, I don't know. I can't actually remember who the original seller was, or maybe it was just I don't know, explaining their guitar skills, something like, I don't know, Demon Power. But there we go. So 1963 Fender Tele. It's obviously had this refinish, black refinish, lacquer over the top, which is yellowed and essentially turned the black to green. That happened to my hair once when I had bleach blonde hair, dyed it black, and then it went green for the same reason. True story. There's photographic evidence. Back in my punk days. Well, I still am in my punk days, really. Just too old to have the bleached hair. Never too old. So you can see there that we've got Clusen Deluxe tuners, which they do look like repros, I have to say. But we're missing the decal. The neck's all stamped correctly on the end, as we should expect for a 63. This pickup appears original. This bridge plate and saddles obviously isn't. This knob is original. This one is later. When I sold it before, I remember this control knob was actually missing. The potentiometers date to 1963. Everything's been rewired though, which means the pickups have possibly also been rewound. But it does come with its original English issued Selmer hard case. And then we've got the L series serial number there. Which is sort of a 63, 64 thing. So another project for someone, or just enjoy it how it is, but another player's grade vintage instrument. And we're continuing this theme even further. This guitar is also a pre-CBS Telecaster. It was consigned yesterday, and it's come all the way down from Scotland. And it's a 1964. So again, we've got an L series serial number, or it's certainly on the cusp of 63, 64. I don't think there are any. I think the serial number falls very early 64, but the neck stamp is October 63 from what I remember. Unfortunately, the pots have been changed, so we cannot use them to date. But what do we got? So it's, as you can see, been thrown headfirst through the 1970s. The strip natural finish was a very common thing. A lot of sort of iconic players during the 70s did have stripped guitars. Mark Bolan was one that had a Telecaster, that's for sure. There we go. We'll have a look at the logo in a second and see how wrong that is. But yeah, strip natural finish. Which has been sort of lacquered or varnished over. You can see sort of the various wear it's got. It's obviously had a lot of use. You can see how rounded that the edge is from the old arm. The guard is a replacement. It should have a green hue to it. It does not, but it's also been cut out. Obviously the body's been cut out to house this pickup, which is a Gibson T-top, so it's quite a nice pickup in there. That's got to be worth a couple of few hundred pounds on its own. The bridge pickup appears original. The bridge plate and saddles appear original. The control plate appears okay. The switch is a replacement. Like I said, 1963 Brazilian rosewood board, and you can see it's got the clay dots as it should have. The fretboard itself, very, very worn, as you can see, lots of grooves there. The frets are very worn as well, and I believe they are the original frets. Yes, they are original frets. And if we have a look at the logo, obviously this should not be this later 70s type logo. And you can also see that the F is slightly at an angle. So I think what has possibly happened is they've taken this water slide decal, and maybe this is sort of snapped off slightly when they fitted it, but it's certainly not right. But it's not an original logo anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Neck's been refinished, as you can see some of the original wear underneath the current lacquer. And then if we look at the tuners, we've got two Kluson Deluxe tuners. Actually, interestingly, if we think about the last Telecaster we just saw, the 63, it did have this type of later double line Kluson Deluxe tuner, whereas it should have these single line Kluson Deluxe tuners here. And you can obviously tell the difference with the patina as well. Strap buttons, they're both replacements. And it just comes with this non-original case as well. And quite interesting with these foam pieces, they've obviously had been cut out to hold this telly in place, and then when he's decided to take his Strat out, he's got this one to put in place to hold that in. So I think it's quite cool. It says a bit of a story. We don't actually have any Strats from the cellar, 4 guitars from the cellar, but no Strats. So I do not know what's happened to the Strat. It's obviously gone over time. But yeah, it's a good project for someone, or again, keep it as it is. I quite like it as it is. So certainly if you like natural finish guitars, I'd probably take it on and leave the spec. I'd certainly keep the neck pickup in there if it was me, and put a nice custom colour on it. But there we go, another player's grade vintage guitar. And earlier we saw an Epiphone Sheraton where I challenge you to go and find a better example. This is going to be a very similar story. We've got one tiny ding there, but otherwise the condition of this Aria TS400 Thor sound is quite incredible. From 1981, these are fantastic instruments made in Japan. The Aria Thor sound, or any Arias from this period, tend to be very good indeed. DiMarzio pickups, and they have all this coil switching, so that word versatile comes into effect. A very versatile guitar indeed, but just in fantastic condition. Original fitted case, and once again I'll challenge you to go and find a better one. Let us know in the comments if you have one. And this guitar is from the same seller as the Thor sound that we just saw. And it's a 1976 Gibson Les Paul Custom. And again, you can see how careful the owner was. Fantastic condition. There are a few dings and marks, but generally very good. It's had a brass nut put on and a refret. I'm going to assume, because of the lack of wear on the guitar, that the refret was main and the brass nut was possibly just a preference thing. The reason I'm saying it's a refret is because the nibs are missing. So usually you'd have nibs, but they've been taken off, and the frets have been done so that they're overlapping the binding. So yeah, like I said, must have been a preference thing. You can see there's a bit of wear on the gold plating, but the patent number stamp pickups, which are original, are there. 1976 dated potentiometers, bit of buckle wear to the back. But it's certainly not been used in anger. It's a nice guitar, good condition. You can see there the serial numbers of the time, and yeah, 1976 Gibson Les Paul Custom with its protector case. Really nice acoustic coming up, and this is an Eric Clapton signature, but not the 00028, which is the most common. This is a limited edition signature 00042M, the M standing for Madagascar Rosewood. So Madagascar Rosewood back and side, stunning piece of wood, and yeah, it's a lovely, lovely instrument. It's got the 42 appointments, so all the abalone inlays to the edging. Got the Eric Clapton abalone inlay to the last fret. Now on the label you will see it's hand signed by Eric Clapton, and one of 250 guitars made. Comes with its original case, and really nice condition, fantastic player. And yeah, for an Eric Clapton fan, or just someone who wants a very, very nice 00042 instrument, there we go. And here we have another vintage piece that unfortunately has been through the modification mill. This is a 1960 Hofner Club 60, and the glaring alteration is it's been Seymour Duncaned. Seymour Duncan humbucker pickups in place of the original, what would have been the black bar pickups. And you can see they've put these rather inventive wooden blocks in to raise the pickups to the correct level. But yeah, sounds like a bit of a monster, as I'm sure you can imagine with those Seymour Duncans. Got replacement knobs, albeit on the original guard. They've put some rather inventive earthing wire onto the bridge through this wire here that's been soldered onto the tailpiece. But yeah, ebony board. So this is quite a high-end club, being the 60. And you'll see there the neck's also been repaired. Looks like some kind of nail's been put through to secure it, and some resin glue that's just holding here. Here's a Gretsch that I think I can get on board with. I'm not the biggest Gretsch fan, but it has a single pickup and a single knob, but it does have a Bigsby, and that is not for me. One thing I will say about this guitar though is quite often I personally find Gretsch quite difficult to play. I often use the term, it feels like they're guitars that need to be tamed and fettled, but this is an incredible player. As soon as I took it out of the case and started playing, and even the Bigsby, I thought, you know, works well, and I thought, yeah, this is a cool guitar. Maybe it was the single pickup and the one knob that makes me a little bit biased as well. But this is a 1960 Gretsch 6119 in this red finish. Comes with its Gretsch branded Bigsby, typical thumbnail inlays on the very highly figured Brazilian board. I really do love the figuring on a lot of these Gretsch instruments. There's really dark lines you get through them, really cool patterns. Not that that's what a guitar's about, of course, it should be played. But it comes with its original case, and it's got quite a long history of the current owner, because look in the case here, there is a receipt, and it was purchased from Rock Bottom Music in Croydon in 1988. There we go, for the sum of £650. Probably worth around £2,000 now, I'd imagine, at auction. 1,500 to 2,000 at least. But yeah, it's had a history back to the 80s. Rock Bottom, a great store in Croydon. I know Carl, the proprietor there, very well. Lovely chap. Quite often see him around. And yeah, always a joy to talk to. So if you're ever in the Croydon area, go and check out Rock Bottom Music. But there we go, 1960 Gretsch 6119 guitar. And here we have a very nice acoustic, consigned from a local property, and had lots of things for our antique sale, and also turned up with two old acoustics. We'll get onto the matter of this missing cap at some point, but 1988 Gibson D40. It's not a Gibson, it's a Guild. It's not a Gibson D40, it's a Guild D40. Getting carried away there. Too many Gibsons in this video, maybe. But Guild D40, fantastic acoustics Guild. And this generally is in very nice condition, aside from, as we saw earlier, some of the binding is coming away here. So this does just need a simple glue down. We do have the cap as well, that's in the case, so that can all be put back to how it should be. But in good condition, nice flat top, and pretty much good to go, with a decent case as well. A brand of acoustics that I think should never be overlooked. Levin, Swedish manufacturer, fantastic instruments, and give other manufacturers of the era, certainly Martin and others, a good run for their money. This one has had a repair to the back, and it has had some refinishing, and the finishing hasn't cured fantastically well, unfortunately. You can see the main bit of repair there, and it's been refinished over, but it only looks like the back's been refinished. The rest of it looks okay. Lacquer checking and marks throughout. The label is missing, and I catalogued this a couple of days ago. I'm pretty sure it's an LT26 model. I could have that slightly wrong, but as usual, correct me in the comments if I am wrong. But there we go. Decent Dreadnought Levin acoustic. This is a really nice American-made acoustic guitar. Some of you will know the maker Bill Tippin, and this is his DST model. This is made in around 1999. I'm just going to check that on the serial number. Yeah, 1999. It's got a really nice V profile, comfortable V profile neck, decent quality Waverley tuners there, and very much, I guess, Martin inspired. A fairly deep body. But yeah, I really do like the guitars by Bill Tippin. Always fantastic quality. This does have a pickup fitted as well, wire through to the end pin. Looks like it's an undersaddle transducer type pickup. It comes in its original case as well. Fantastic instrument. And here we have a 1936 KTG-21, and the T in the KG stands for tenor, and obviously Kalamazoo tenor guitar. 21 model, and all looks to be in pretty good condition. The tuners are later, so replacement tuners, possibly for more stability. These always find it amazing how small these necks are, but then they are for banjo players essentially. So that's basically the idea of tenor guitars were to give banjo players or allow banjo players or people playing in banjo tuning the opportunity to play a guitar, or I guess in some ways vice versa. A guitarist could give the whole banjo tuning a go without actually having to go to a banjo and still have that acoustic or archtop guitar thing going on. But yeah, it comes with its probably original semi-rigid fiberboard case, and apart from a few knocks and bumps and lacquer checking as you'd expect, it's in pretty reasonable condition. In here we'll have possibly a brand that we're not all familiar with. So this is Bozo. So a Serbian luthier who emigrated to America, called Bozo, or Bozo, I guess it would have been pronounced, Podunavak, and he essentially made very good quality acoustic guitars, made around 700 of them. This is not one that would have been made by him though, because the name was outsourced to, or they are made under license in Japan under the name, using his designs. This is one of the Japanese ones, but still a very good quality guitar. Indian rosewood back and sides, spruce tops, got this clear pick guard, but very typical designs of his, the type of head, the type of inlays, and all the sort of body measurements and things. But these really are fantastic instruments, and for £500–600 hammer, you can't really go wrong at all. So in here we have a Gibson J-45, and as you can see, it's in fantastic condition and not bad for what is now a 35-year-old guitar being made in 1990. So in incredible condition, comes with its original case, has its original Rossetti tag, warranty booklet tag, there we go, and not filled out, but there it is. So J-45 from 1990, original case, fantastic condition. So in here we have a 1970s Shergold Masquerader, and it has had a few mods. You can see the typical lacquer checking, but it appears that it's also been refinished over this lacquer checking. You'll see the Shergold plaque on the back of the body, which you would normally expect to see on the head, but as you can see, the head has been altered. It usually have the typical Shergold, it's almost like a hammerhead sort of shape, but it's been reshaped. Perhaps the owner didn't like it, but you can see the original pinhole where the Shergold logo would have sat, which is why it's been moved. The pickguard's unusual because it's not branded with the Shergold writing as you'd normally see here. but everything does kind of look like it's fitted well. The switch surround there is damaged. I think we got a piece of that in the case. But yeah, a bit of English, 1970s English British guitar history there. We do get these 70s Shergolds come up quite regularly, and always a bit of fun. So in this coffin case is a 1978 Ibanez Musician MC300, and as you can see, apart from a bit of tarnishing on the back plate there, it's in fantastic condition. Maybe it's been kept in that good condition because it has been laid to rest in this coffin case. So in here we have a modern Martin guitar, 2015 D18, a good solid Martin acoustic, good condition. The only fault is this binding, as you can see, has been re-glued. But this is a common fault from Martins of this period. The binding could sort of shrink away, but it has been put back to be good again. So I guess you could say now it's been done, it shouldn't slip again. But there we go, 2015-ish Martin D18, fantastic condition otherwise, apart from the back binding, and it comes with a slightly earlier Martin hard case. So in here we have a slightly damaged case of the back hinge there. You will have to excuse the strings because they have rusted due to this pickguard gassing. They will be replaced at some point. This has very recently come in. This is a 1978 Ibanez Artist, and off the top of my head I can't remember the exact model name, but possibly a 2630. That might be the 335 equivalent rather than the 345. It's generally in original condition. Obviously it does have a few condition issues that we can see. The pickguard has gassed, essentially it off gases, crystallizes, and it can cause this corrosion to the hardware. This could be tidied up. The frets as well, it's rusted and corroded. The electrics amazingly are still working. I've got the Varatone switching, very much like the Gibson ES345s, and you will note, those of you who are familiar with this model, you will notice that it should only have one coil switch. It actually has an additional two. So there's two additional coil switches that have been put in place. And you may also notice that the pickups are not original. However, we do have a pair in here of the original pickups. You can see the original covers there, and these are Super 80 pickups. There we go. So the original pickups can be put back, and it can be tidied up. The best thing usually is to remove the guards on these, because this will just keep going and eventually it will crystallize and just disintegrate away. Comes in its original case though. So there we go, a 1978 Ibanez Artist ES345 type. Some of you will remember it was June last year actually, so by the time the auction comes around it'll be exactly a year. We had Bernie Marsden's Squier Stratocaster that was used on the Stax album, and it was the guitar that he ended up using for the majority of the recording, despite his big arsenal of guitars that he used. And the reason I mention that is because this is basically, well, it's almost the same thing. It's the same colour, and from the same, I'm pretty sure the same year as well, 1980s Squier, Japanese-made Stratocaster. So if you missed out on that guitar, that ended up selling for quite a lot of money because of the association with Bernie. If you do want to get one at a slightly more affordable price range, then there's an opportunity to do so and still be able to dial into the tone of Bernie's, well, the reason Bernie chose it, obviously. But not all guitars are built equal, so I can't promise anything. But there we go, a 1980s Squier, Japanese Squier Stratocaster. And here from 1972, We have a Fender jazz bass, and you can see this one is fretless. It's a 1972 Fender fretless jazz bass, three-tone sunburst finish as you'd expect. So the original finish, a bit of wear, has been used lovingly over the years, missing its bridge and pickup covers, also missing its finger rest as well, but everything else checks out. Potentiometers date correctly, the 72 plate serial number, and it comes in a Warwick rock bag gig bag. So here we have a 7-string 2020 PRS Mark Holcomb SE model, signature model for Mark Holcomb, who is the guitarist for Periphery. Here we have a mahogany body. We've got a maple cap on that mahogany body and a very thin walnut veneer on the top, with this sort of satin type finish. 7-string guitar, Seymour Duncan pickups, and very, very good quality guitars these. So if you're after a 7-string to play your gent or whatever you choose to do, then there we go. And another PRS SE for you, this time a custom 24. This is from 2021, and it comes in this rather striking Bonnie Pink finish. Bonnie Pink is the official name of the finish. Slight ding on the edge there and on the back edge there, but otherwise it's in fine condition. Comes with its original gig bag. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that selection today. As always, keep an eye out on the other consignment update videos. So we're on episode 2. Go back and have a look at episode 1. And then, as I mentioned in episode 1, there is the bonus video that we did in a previous consignment update, because we thought those guitars were going to go into March, and they were delayed into this sale. So if you are just joining us today, then you've got another 2 videos to look forward to watching over the weekend if you wish. But as always, please subscribe to our channel, hit the bell icon, hit the like button, just so you get notified of future videos. Keep an eye on the website, guitarauctions.com. Subscribe to our mailing list, because you'll always get updated about when these videos go live if you choose not to subscribe to us. But yeah, thanks again for joining us today. The auction's taking place from the 10th to the 13th of June, and we will see you next week.